So when my amazing team and I were designing this trial, we wanted to study the power of the different parts of the system, as well as the entire system, how it worked together. So we had our trial participants track their sleep as is, no intervention, for 1 week. Then, for 1 week, just diffuse the oil alone in our awesome Volo diffuser. For 1 week, we had them diffuse the oils plus use the stick topically. So we started to combine that a little bit and stack it. And then, for 4 weeks, we had them use all 3 products together. Now, why 4 weeks on the system? Well, research suggests it may take as much as 3 weeks for internal lavender to start to build up and work in our systems to its maximum potential. So, we recruited 45 healthy people for this study. We assigned them wearable trackers. We measured multiple endpoints, including their sleep amounts and sleep quality, blood markers, subjective surveys, safety markers, and even effects clear down at the cellular level. Now, one of the most important outcomes of this clinical research is, of course, safety. As you just heard, doTERRA is not only a leader in purity and efficacy, but also in safety. That is one of the doTERRA differences. We check liver enzymes, kidney function, blood and urine markers, and we collect feedback from our participants every time we do a trial. For the Serenity system, no significant changes occurred in any of our safety markers, and no serious adverse events were reported from any of our participants. That's what we want to see. Right? We care very deeply about your safety. So now if you get the question, are the Serenity products safe? You can answer with confidence, yes, backed by data. Just one more way doTERRA is stepping through that door and locking it behind us. Now, minutes of sleep and sleep score were important indicators of how our participants were doing in the trial. The sleep score is an algorithm developed by the makers of the wearable device company that we were using. It combines a sleep amount and sleep quality into a single number. Both the minutes of sleep and the sleep score increased for our participants throughout the trial. Now, these increases weren't hours of extra sleep per night. There's really no magic switch for that, but certainly minutes. And when we're talking about sleep, every minute counts. And we're going to talk a little bit more about why that is, and you'll see it in the data. But the bigger and more important question is, what did those increases actually mean for the participants in the study? To answer that question, we used validated clinical research surveys that asked our participants questions about how better sleep made them function. At the end of the day, that's really what we wanted to see improve. On the LEADS Sleep Evaluation Questionnaire, or LSEQ, that you might see in the literature if you're reading about sleep, we asked participants how easily they were able to fall asleep, how they felt when they woke up, how tired or energetic they felt during the day. In every measure, using the Serenity Sleep System improved how participants felt before, during, and after sleep, and throughout the day. In many categories, the change was dramatic, like feeling less restless during their sleep and feeling refreshed when they woke up. On the short form 20, or SF20 questionnaire, participants were asked about their quality of life. Things like whether discomfort prevented them from performing tasks, or whether they felt down, whether they felt calm and relaxed. In every measure, guess what we saw? Increase. In some cases, again, this was dramatic. I dare say, life-changing for someone who now feels like they can live life rather than stumbling through their day like a half-asleep zombie. On the functional outcomes of sleep questionnaire, the FOSQ, we asked participants about how sleep impacted their ability to perform daily tasks, like driving, doing paperwork, or participating in social events. Again, in every measure, We saw improvements in how participants perceived their sleep. People just functioned better in every aspect of their life that we could measure. Now, not only did we show improvements in subjective data, but objectively, we could see the improvement in participants' well-being. Now, these data are still being analyzed. Again, we're giving you a very hot off the press sneak peek, but we're going to have more information for you in the coming months. I wanted to show you some interesting trends we're seeing in our participants. During the trial with the Serenity system, our participants spent less time sedentary. Active minutes per day increased. And in turn, participants were burning more calories when they were using the sleep system. I'll be honest, we weren't actually even expecting this, but it's no surprise, right? When participants, for example, in the week they were using the diffused oil and the stick, they burned an average of 500 calories more per day from being active. Who knew? Well, we knew, but is it possible that sleeping better leads to more energy, which naturally encourages your body to move? When we feel better, so often we do better. This is proof positive that when people sleep better, we're influencing other areas of the wellness pyramid. It is all connected. Now, after reviewing this data, we began to do some subgroup analyses as well. We realized something very important that applies to all of us. Some of us believe we may be getting a good night of sleep, but in fact we're not. Well, everyone accepted into the study was screened and their self-reported sleep habits were good. Once we tracked how they actually slept, we saw more than half of our participant population were irregular, late sleepers. In the subgroup analysis, we categorized participants into regular or irregular sleepers based on their sleep-wake patterns, from what the wearable device was telling us. Regular sleepers varied less than 2 hours in their bedtimes and wake times. Irregular sleepers varied more than 2 hours. Earlier late sleepers were categorized based on whether they went to bed before midnight most nights or after midnight most nights. Research shows that variable sleep-wake patterns can affect daytime sleepiness, focus, energy, even personality. This indicates that as a society, we have some work to do. Okay, I won't ask for a raise of hands. Which of these categories fits us? And which one do we aspire to be? Now, down at a cellular level, what does better sleep do for our bodies? We know that sleep is strongly correlated with our inflammatory response. So we wanted to see if using the Serenity products would affect this in healthy people. One common way we measure inflammatory response is by looking at something called C-reactive protein, or CRP. This protein is elevated in times of stress, poor sleep, even exercise. Our C-reactive protein levels go up and down normally as we go through life, but optimally, we want this C-reactive protein level generally low. From the beginning to the end of the study, we saw drops in the C-reactive protein of our participants. Yeah, you can cheer for that. I like it. Why did our people feel awesome when they were using these products? Why could they get out and be more active? Because their biology, the markers in their blood, in their cells, were showing that their bodies were working better. This is something that can benefit every human being. Thank you. One person's like, yeah, that's me. As we have shown year after year, doTERRA essential oils have biological activity because we have the purest, most consistent, most efficacious oils on the planet.